I was wrong about my brother. I stood in my lawyer's office that Tuesday morning, pen in hand, ready to sign over half of everything I'd built. 40 years of construction work, 3 apartment buildings in Phoenix, a small commercial property downtown, all about to become joint ownership with Daniel, my younger brother by 8 years. You sure about this, Richard? Tom Ashford, my attorney of 20 years, asked. He'd drawn up the papers, but I could see the hesitation in his eyes. He's family, I said. It's the right thing to do. I was 72 years old. Daniel was 64. He'd had a rough life, 2 divorces, a failed restaurant business in Tucson, some health problems. When he called me 6 months earlier, voice breaking, asking if he could move to Phoenix and start fresh, I didn't hesitate. I set him up in one of my rental units, helped him find work with a friend's company. We'd started having dinner together every Sunday. For the first time since our mother died 15 years ago, I had family again. Real family. My wife Margaret had passed 7 years back. No kids, just me and my properties and my routines. Daniel changed that. He made me remember what it felt like to have someone to care about. Blood is thicker than water, I told Tom, echoing what Daniel always said. He's all I've got. Tom slid the papers across his desk. Signing ceremony is set for Friday at 2 o'clock. Daniel will be here? Wouldn't miss it, I said. What I didn't know was that my house manager, Carlos, was at that exact moment sitting in his truck outside my lawyer's building, hands shaking, trying to decide whether to come inside. Carlos Martinez had worked for me for 12 years. He managed my properties, supervised repairs, collected rent. He was quiet, efficient, and never caused problems. I trusted him completely. I'd even helped pay for his daughter Sophia's community college tuition when she wanted to become a nurse. But Carlos had noticed things he wasn't sure he should mention, things that made him lose sleep. He watched me walk out of Tom's office and drive away in my truck. He sat there for another 20 minutes. Then he went home without saying a word. That Wednesday, Daniel came over for our usual evening together. I'd made pot roast, his favorite. He seemed distracted, checking his phone every few minutes. Everything okay? I asked. Just work stuff, he said, smiling. Hey, Friday's a big day, huh? You and me? Official partners? I'm looking forward to it, I said. And I meant it. I poured us both coffee. I'd cut back to 1 cup in the evenings because of my blood pressure. But this felt like a celebration. Daniel's phone buzzed again. He glanced at it and stood up quickly. I should actually take this. Work crisis. Mind if I step outside? Go ahead. Through the kitchen window, I watched him pace on my back patio, phone pressed to his ear. His free hand gestured animatedly. At one point, he laughed a cold sound that didn't match the work crisis story. Something felt off. But I pushed the feeling away. Trust was important. Family was important. Thursday morning, I drove to my commercial property downtown to check on some renovations. Carlos's truck was already there. He was standing in the parking lot, staring at his phone. Morning, Carlos, I called out. He jumped like I'd fired a gun. His phone nearly fell from his hands. Mr. Richard, good morning. His face had gone pale. You all right? You look like you've seen a ghost. I'm fine. Just, my daughter. She's been sick. Sophia? Is it serious? You should have told me. Take the day off if you need to. No. She's okay. Just a cold. He wouldn't meet my eyes. We walked through the building together, but Carlos was distracted, barely responding to my questions about the electrical work. Twice, I caught him staring at me with this odd expression, like he wanted to say something but couldn't get the words out. Finally, as we were leaving, he stopped me. Mr. Richard, can I ask you something? Sir. He opened his mouth, closed it, looked down at his boots. Never mind. It's nothing. Carlos, if something's wrong... It's nothing, he said firmly. I'll see you tomorrow. I drove home feeling unsettled. 2 people in 2 days acting strange, but I had bigger things to think about. Tomorrow was the signing. Tomorrow, I'd officially have a partner in this business I'd spent my whole life building. Tomorrow, everything would change. Friday morning arrived clear and bright. I put on my best button-down shirt and my late wife's favorite tie, the navy one, with the thin silver stripe. I made myself a light breakfast, toast and orange juice. My stomach felt nervous, which was silly at my age. The signing was at 2 o'clock. I planned to arrive at 1:30. At noon, my doorbell rang. Daniel stood there, holding 2 cups of coffee from the Starbucks near his apartment. "Thought we could celebrate early," he said, grinning. "Got your usual. Black, 1 sugar? You didn't have to do that." "It's a big day, big brother. Come on, let's sit." We sat in my living room. Daniel was chatty, energetic. He talked about his plans for the properties, ideas for improvements. I noticed his coffee sat untouched on the side table while he talked. "Drink up," he said, gesturing to my cup. "It's getting cold." I lifted the cup to my lips. The smell was right, dark roast, the way I liked it. But something made me pause. An instinct. The same instinct that had kept me safe on construction sites for 40 years. The doorbell rang. "I'll get it," Daniel said quickly, standing. "No, I've got it." I set down my coffee and walked to the door. Carlos stood on my porch. He looked like he hadn't slept. His eyes were red-rimmed, and his hands trembled at his sides. "Carlos, what are you doing here?" He looked past me to where Daniel stood in the living room, then back to me. "Mr. Richard, I need to talk to you. Alone. This isn't a good time. Daniel and I." "Please," his voice cracked. "It's important." Daniel called from inside. "Everything okay out there?" Carlos leaned in close and whispered 6 words that changed everything. "Don't drink that coffee. Trust me." My blood went cold. "What?" "The coffee your brother brought. Don't drink it. Please, Mr. Richard. I'll explain everything, but right now, you need to trust me." I looked into Carlos's eyes. I'd known this man for 12 years. He'd never lied to me, never caused drama, never asked for anything except a fair wage and the chance to help his daughter. "Come inside," I said. We walked back into the living room. Daniel's smile faltered when he saw Carlos. "Carlos, right? The property manager?" Daniel's tone was friendly, but something flickered in his eyes. "That's right," Carlos said. "Well, Richard and I have a big appointment today, so if this is about work—" "I know what your appointment is," Carlos said quietly. The room went silent. I looked at my coffee cup on the table, then at Daniel. "What's going on?" "Nothing," Daniel said. "Your employee is being dramatic. Maybe he's worried about his job security once I'm co-owner." "That's not why I'm here," Carlos said. He pulled out his phone. "Mr. Richard, 3 weeks ago I installed new security cameras on the commercial building. They have audio now. Better system." "I know. I approved the purchase. The cameras have cloud backup. They record everything." Carlos's hands shook as he touched his phone screen. 2 weeks ago, I was checking the recordings because we had some vandalism. I found something else." He turned his phone toward me. It showed a paused video of my commercial building's parking lot at night. 2 figures stood by a car. "Play it," I said. The video played. The first figure was clearly Daniel. The second was a woman I didn't recognize. Their voices came through clearly. Daniel's voice. "Next Friday. He's signing over half of everything." Woman's voice. "And you're sure about the timeline?" Daniel. "I've been researching. With his age and the blood pressure medication he takes, it'll look like a heart attack. Natural causes. Maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month. No one will question it." Woman. "And if someone does?" Daniel. "They won't. Trust me, I've planned this carefully. Once those papers are signed, I own half. When he's gone, I inherit the rest. It's perfect." I felt the room spin. I gripped the arm of my chair to steady myself. The video continued. The woman handed Daniel something. "This is the last batch. Make sure he doesn't taste it." "Daniel, his coffee every morning. I've been doing it for weeks. He doesn't suspect a thing." My brother's voice. My brother's words. Talking about killing me. I looked up at the real Daniel, standing in my living room. His face had gone white. "Richard, that's not—" "He's editing that somehow." "Show me the rest," I said to Carlos. There were 4 more recordings. Different nights, different conversations, all of them plotting my death. I learned that the woman was Jennifer Cole, a pharmacy technician Daniel had been dating. She'd been stealing medications from her workplace. Something called digoxin, a heart medication that in the right doses could cause a fatal cardiac event. They'd been poisoning me for 3 weeks. Small doses in my morning coffee, which Daniel had started bringing me every day as a gesture of family bonding. The fatigue I'd been feeling, the occasional dizziness, the nausea I'd blamed on age. It was all there in those recordings, Daniel discussing my symptoms with Jennifer, adjusting the dosage, timing it perfectly so I'd die soon after signing the papers, but not before. "You bastard," I whispered. Daniel's face changed. The friendly mask dropped. What replaced it was cold and calculating. "You were going to die anyway, Richard. You're 72. How much longer did you think you had? That doesn't give you the right—" "The right?" Daniel laughed. "You want to talk about rights? You had everything. Mom loved you more. You got the successful business. You got Margaret. I got nothing. 2 failed marriages. Failed business. And you never once offered to help until I came crawling to you. I did help you. I gave you a place to live. I was giving you half my life's work. Too little, too late," Daniel said. "And I wasn't going to wait around for you to die naturally and leave it to some charity. I earned this. By killing me, by being smart." Carlos stepped forward. "Mr. Richard," I called the police. "They're on their way." Daniel's eyes went wide. He lunged for the door, but he was 64 and out of shape. Carlos was 42 and had worked construction most of his life. He caught Daniel's arm and held him until we heard sirens. The police arrived. I gave them Carlos's phone. They took Daniel and left to find Jennifer Cole. I sat in my living room, staring at that cup of coffee on my table, the coffee I'd almost drunk. Carlos sat with me. We didn't speak for a long time. Finally, I said, "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "I wasn't sure at first. I saw your brother in the parking lot late at night and thought it was weird, but not criminal. Then I reviewed the recordings and heard that." He paused. "I was scared, Mr. Richard. Scared you wouldn't believe me. Scared you'd fire me for spying. Scared I was wrong somehow, even though I heard what I heard. But you came today. I couldn't let you drink that coffee. I knew it was today, the signing. I figured this was the last one, the one that would. He couldn't finish." I reached over and gripped his shoulder. "You saved my life, Carlos. You saved my daughter's life when you paid for her school. She's graduating next month, you know. She got a job at the hospital already." His voice broke. "I couldn't let him kill you." The police found Jennifer Cole at her apartment. They recovered enough digoxin to kill several people. Medical tests confirmed I had toxic levels of the drug in my system. I spent 2 days in the hospital getting treatment, something called chelation therapy, that filtered the poison from my blood. Daniel and Jennifer were both arrested. Their trial was set for 6 months later. I had to testify. Had to sit in that courtroom and face my brother. He looked older somehow, shrunken. Jennifer Cole sat beside him, crying through most of the proceedings. The prosecution presented the security footage. They presented the stolen medications. They presented my medical records, showing the poisoning. They presented the drawn-up papers for the property transfer proof of motive. Daniel's lawyer tried to argue that the recordings were inadmissible, that Carlos had violated privacy, but the cameras were on my property, installed with my permission. Everything was legal. The jury deliberated for 8 hours. When they came back, the forewoman read the verdicts. Conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, theft of controlled substances, fraud, guilty on all counts. Daniel got 25 years. Jennifer got 18. I watched my brother being led away in handcuffs. He looked at me once. No remorse, no apology, just anger that he'd been caught. I sold the commercial property, sold 2 of the apartment buildings. I couldn't look at them anymore without thinking about Daniel standing in those parking lots, plotting my death. I kept 1 building, the smallest one. I renovated the ground floor units and turned them into a community center. Free services for seniors, legal aid, health screenings, financial planning, a place where elderly people could get help if family members were exploiting them. I named it the Margaret Rose Center, after my late wife. She would have loved the idea. Carlos, I promoted to director, triple his salary, paid off his mortgage, set up a trust fund for Sophia's future. When he protested, I told him the truth. You gave me back my life. Let me give you some security. Sophia graduated from nursing school. She works at the Margaret Rose Center now, doing health screenings for seniors. She's engaged to a good man. Carlos walks around beaming with pride. I'm 73 now. I live alone in a smaller house. I sold the one where Daniel brought me that coffee. Too many memories. But I'm not lonely. The center keeps me busy. I spend my days talking to people, helping where I can, sharing my story when it's appropriate, warning people that financial abuse, manipulation, even murder can come from anywhere, even from family, especially from family. I learned something in those months after Daniel's arrest. Blood isn't thicker than water. Loyalty is thicker than blood. Character is thicker than blood. Carlos, who had every reason to stay silent, spoke up. Daniel, who shared my DNA, tried to kill me. Sometimes I think about that Friday, about sitting in my living room, coffee cup in hand, seconds away from drinking poison, about Carlos standing on my porch, terrified but determined to do the right thing, about how close I came to being wrong about everything. People ask me if I'm angry, if I hate my brother. I don't hate him. Hatred takes energy I don't have anymore. But I am sad. Sad for the brother I thought I had. Sad for the relationship that never really existed. Sad that greed and jealousy could turn someone into that. Mostly, I'm grateful. Grateful for Carlos's courage. Grateful for second chances. Grateful to still be here, doing work that matters. Last month, we helped an 80-year-old woman whose nephew had been forging checks from her account. We got her money back, and her nephew was prosecuted. 2 weeks ago, we stopped a family from forcing their elderly father to sign over his house while he was on pain medication after surgery. Yesterday, Carlos told me about a new case, a granddaughter who's been isolating her grandmother and controlling her finances. We'll help her. That's what we do now. I was wrong about my brother. But I was right about Carlos. And I was right that there was still important work for me to do in this world. Just not the work I'd planned. Every morning now, I make my own coffee. Black, 1 sugar. I drink it slowly, tasting every sip, grateful for every single day I'm here to drink it. And sometimes, on quiet mornings, I think about that moment on my porch. Carlos's trembling voice. Those 6 words that changed everything. Don't drink that coffee. Trust me. I did trust him. And it saved my life. Now, I spend my life making sure others have someone they can trust too. Someone who'll speak up when it's hard. Someone who'll risk everything to do what's right. Because in the end, that's what family really means. Not blood, not obligation. Choice, loyalty, love in action. I found my real family at 72 years old. He's a 40-something property manager with calloused hands and a good heart. And I've never been more grateful to be wrong about anything in my life.